In the hurried rhythm of modern life, our minds are often swept into an endless cycle of thoughts, worries, and unfulfilled desires. It is in these heavy moments that the timeless wisdom of the Buddha becomes a refuge. Among the countless gifts of this wisdom are stories, simple in appearance yet profound in depth, that carry the power to heal and awaken, passed down through generations. These stories are not meant merely to entertain, but to illuminate, to open our hearts, and to remind us of the deep truths hidden in everyday life. The 10 Buddhist stories you are about to hear are like small lamps lit in the darkness. They do not force enlightenment upon you, but gently invite you to pause, breathe, and see with greater clarity. Their beauty lies not in lofty philosophy, but in their ability to touch the heart directly, reminding us that peace, compassion, and wisdom are never far away. They are already within reach. As you listen, allow these stories to guide you beyond the noise of the outer world and into the quiet sanctuary of your own mind. Perhaps in a simple parable, you will recognize yourself, your struggles, your longings, and your search for freedom. And perhaps you will come to see that true relaxation of the mind does not come from escaping life, but from embracing it with insight and compassion. These 10 stories are an invitation to rest, to reflect, and to return home to the peace that has always been waiting within you. Story 1. The Overflowing Teacup. This story, known as The Overflowing Teacup, is one of the simplest yet most profound Zen teachings, revealing a timeless truth about the nature of our mind. One day, a scholar came to visit a well-known Zen master, eager to learn. He carried with him great confidence, believing that his vast knowledge and understanding had already brought him close to wisdom, and that he only needed a little more to reach enlightenment. The master invited him to sit down and began to slowly pour tea into his cup. The tea rose higher and higher until it reached the brim, yet the master continued pouring. Soon, it spilled over and flowed onto the table. Alarmed and slightly irritated, the scholar exclaimed, "Master, the cup is full. It cannot hold any more." The Zen master smiled and gently replied, "Just like this cup, your mind is already full of opinions, assumptions, and self-importance. If you do not empty it, how can anything new ever enter?" Behind this simple action lies a deep wisdom. When our minds are overcrowded with worries, judgments, and arrogance, there is no space for peace or insight to settle within us. A cup that is already overflowing cannot receive even the purest tea. In the same way, a mind that is burdened and restless cannot truly absorb wisdom, no matter how beautiful or profound it may be. In modern life, we often overload ourselves with unfinished tasks, worries about the future, and the lingering weight of the past. This mental overcapacity leaves us drained and restless, unable to experience the lightness of being. True relaxation does not come from adding more, but from learning to let go. The moment we put down our burdens, the mind opens up like an empty cup, ready to breathe, ready to rest in the present moment. Letting go does not mean carelessness or neglect. It means learning to release what we cannot control, and not clinging to thoughts that circle endlessly. An empty, spacious mind is like a clean teacup, ready to receive the fresh flavor of life. When this happens, every breath becomes gentle, every step becomes peaceful, and each day becomes an opportunity to taste the quiet joy already within us. The story of the overflowing teacup reminds us that sometimes, to be truly relaxed and happy, we do not need to add more. We simply need to carry less. Less worry, less attachment, less pride. When the noise within finally subsides, we can hear the pristine silence of our inner being. And within that silence lies the seed of tranquility, wisdom, and lasting peace. Story 2. The Elephant and the Rope. There is a well-known story that often makes us pause and reflect. In a traveling circus, there were enormous, powerful elephants. Each of them was strong enough to break a wooden pillar with just a single push. And yet, these great creatures stood still, restrained only by a thin rope tied loosely around one leg. A curious visitor, puzzled by the sight, asked the trainer, "Why do these mighty elephants remain so calm? With just a little effort, they could break free in an instant." The trainer smiled and replied, "When they were very young, we tied them with the same kind of rope. At that time, they were too small and weak to escape, no matter how hard they tried. Eventually, they gave up. They grew up believing that escape was impossible. Even now, though they have become strong, they never test the rope again. It is not the rope that holds them. It is their belief." This simple image carries a profound lesson. Many of the limitations we face in life do not come from the outside world, but from within our own minds. Each of us carries invisible ropes, the fear of failure, the weight of past experiences, or the quiet voice inside that whispers, "You can't." We repeat these beliefs so often that they feel like truth, and in doing so, we remain tied to an illusion, living within boundaries that were never truly there. If we look closely, we may realize that most fears do not exist in reality. They exist only in the mind. Life itself is vast and open, yet because we believe in walls that don't exist, we stay trapped in place. Just like the elephant, if we dared to test the rope, we would discover how fragile it truly is. There are moments when each of us feels small or powerless in the face of challenges. But many of these barriers are nothing more than habits of thought. Once we choose to step beyond them, to question those old beliefs, we awaken to the strength that has always been within us. The story of the elephant and the rope reminds us, do not let invisible fears or limiting beliefs bind you any longer. You are far stronger than you think. All it takes is one act of courage, one moment of trust in yourself, and the ropes that once held you will dissolve like illusions. And in that moment, you discover true freedom. The freedom to walk forward, to grow, and to embrace the life you were always meant to live. Story 3. The Two Monks and the Young Woman. Long ago, two monks were traveling together along a road. When they reached a riverbank, they saw a young woman standing in hesitation. The water was rushing fast, and she did not dare to cross. With eyes full of worry, she looked at the two monks as if asking for help. Without a moment's hesitation, one of the monks lifted her gently in his arms and carried her across to the other side. He set her down safely, offered a calm smile, and continued on his way with his companion. But the other monk was deeply unsettled. He walked in silence for many hours, his mind consumed with unease. At last, unable to hold back, he spoke with reproach. "We are monks. How could you carry a woman in your arms?" That was not proper. The monk who had carried her simply replied with serenity, "I set her down at the riverbank hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" That short reply echoed like a bell. It was not only a teaching for the second monk, but also a teaching for us all. How often in life do we behave just like the monk who could not let go? A moment has already passed. A word has already been spoken. A glance already exchanged. Yet we hold on to it endlessly, replaying it, clinging to it, and suffering because of it. We forget that it is this very attachment that weighs us down and keeps our minds from resting in peace. The lesson hidden within the story is simple yet profound. True relaxation does not come from adding something new, but from releasing what is no longer needed. Once the past has gone, let it stay behind. If we imprison ourselves in memories, regrets, and resentments, we only bind ourselves with invisible chains, unable to move forward. On life's journey, there will be times when we must take action and then continue on, just as the monk carried the young woman across the river. But the true practice lies in knowing when to put the burden down. If outwardly we let go but inwardly we still cling, then that is the real bondage. Genuine relaxation is when the mind is light as a cloud, no longer burdened by the past, no longer trapped in memory. In that state, we live fully in the present moment, and every breath becomes spacious, every step becomes freedom itself. Just as the monk set the young woman down, we too can learn to set down our sorrows, our grudges, and the things that no longer serve us. The story of the two monks and the young woman reminds us, do not carry what is unnecessary. Let the past remain in the past, so that you may walk forward with lightness and freedom. When we learn to let go, we discover that peace has always been here, within each breath, within each step, within this very moment. Story 4. The Heavy Glass of Water. During a talk, a teacher walked onto the stage holding a glass of water. Everyone expected the usual question. How much do you think this glass weighs? But instead, the teacher smiled and asked something different. If I hold this glass for a few minutes, nothing happens. If I hold it for an hour, my arm will start to ache. And if I hold it all day long, what do you think will happen? The audience laughed, easily imagining the teacher's arm trembling, exhausted from carrying a glass that was never really heavy to begin with. The teacher nodded and continued. The weight of the glass has not changed. What makes it heavy is how long I hold on to it. It is the same with worries, stress, and burdens in life. They may not seem overwhelming at first, but the longer we cling to them, the heavier they become. Eventually, they drain our strength and cloud our peace. This simple image reveals a profound truth. Life itself is not too heavy. It is the mind that makes it so. Each time we cling to a worry, we are choosing to hold our own glass of water longer than necessary. Over time, these small burdens accumulate, stacking one on top of another, until we become trapped under the weight of our own thoughts. Relaxation does not mean avoiding problems. It means knowing when to set the glass down. After a long day, if our minds are still spinning with concerns and to-do lists, even sitting quietly cannot bring rest. But the moment we breathe deeply and allow those thoughts to soften, our hearts become lighter. Just like placing the glass back on the table, we give our minds a chance to rest, our bodies a chance to renew. Letting go is not neglect. Setting down is not denial. It simply means granting ourselves the freedom to pause, to breathe, and to regain the strength needed for tomorrow. By putting the glass down now, we can pick it up again later, with fresh energy, a clear mind, and a lighter heart. The glass never grows heavier, only the time we hold it makes it unbearable. The same is true of stress and worries. They become heavy only because we refuse to let them go. And so the lesson is clear and timeless. To set down is to relax. To let go is to be free. When we learn to release what we carry too long, we discover that life was always lighter, more spacious, and more peaceful than we believed. Story 5. The Stone Thrower. Long ago, there was a monk meditating peacefully under a tree. He sat in silence, his mind calm and undisturbed by the noises of the world around him. A passerby, for no clear reason, was suddenly overcome with anger. He picked up a stone and hurled it at the monk. Fortunately, the stone missed and landed on the ground nearby. What was surprising was that the monk did not react with anger. He remained still, his eyes gentle, his face unchanged. Perplexed and irritated, the man shouted, "Why don't you react? I just threw a stone at you." The monk smiled softly and replied, "You threw a stone because your heart is filled with anger, but I do not need to accept that anger. If I also became angry, wouldn't that mean I have allowed you to control my mind? Instead, I only feel compassion for you, because within you there is suffering, and it is that suffering which truly binds you." Hearing this, the man was stunned. In that moment, he felt a strange sense of stillness, as though a hidden door had quietly opened inside him. This simple story carries a profound lesson. We cannot always stop others from throwing stones, but we can always choose how to respond. When insulted, criticized, or treated unfairly, our natural impulse is to strike back. Yet in those very moments, if we can remain mindful and let compassion arise, we not only protect our own peace, but also break the endless cycle of anger. The truth is, anyone who lashes out is already suffering. A peaceful heart does not harm others. Understanding this, instead of reacting with resentment, we can feel empathy. This person is hurting, and that is why they act this way. Such understanding becomes the key that unlocks the door of compassion. Relaxing the mind does not mean running away. It means choosing not to be swept away by the flames of anger. When we don't react, the fire within the other person eventually fades, like clouds dissolving under the morning sun. This is the true power of letting go. In daily life, we are often pelted with stones, not literal ones, but harsh words, cold attitudes, or painful misunderstandings. If we can smile, breathe, and keep our hearts steady, then these stones no longer wound us. Instead, they become teachers, reminding us that compassion is the strongest shield, carrying us safely through every storm. And when we cultivate genuine empathy for those who harm us, we not only free ourselves from suffering, but sometimes we also plant a seed of awakening in them. One day, that seed may bloom, guiding them toward peace and kindness. The message of this story is clear. True relaxation comes from compassion, not retaliation. Others may throw stones, but we can choose not to carry the wounds within us. Only then are we truly free. Story 6. The Path and the Raft. Long ago, there was a traveler who wished to cross a wide, rushing river. The current was strong, and there was no bridge or boat in sight. After some thought, he gathered dry branches and tied them together to make a raft. With patience and effort, he rowed across and finally reached the safety of the other shore. Standing on solid ground, he reflected, "This raft has saved me. I must carry it with me to honor its help." So he lifted the raft onto his shoulders and continued his journey. But the farther he went, the heavier the raft became. It slowed his steps, drained his strength, and soon, what once brought freedom had become a burden. This simple story carries a profound truth. The raft is a symbol of the tools, methods, or even beliefs we rely on to overcome challenges in life. They are valuable, yet they are not meant to be clung to forever. Once we have crossed the river, wisdom lies in setting the raft down and walking on freely. In our lives, there are habits, relationships, beliefs, or perspectives that once saved us during difficult times. They were our rafts, helping us survive storms of suffering. But if we cling to them long after their purpose has been fulfilled, they turn into chains. What once brought liberation can easily transform into a weight that binds us. True relaxation is the art of letting go. It does not mean denying the value of the past, but recognizing that everything has its time. When something has served its purpose, allow it to flow back into the stream of life. Clinging to the past or to old successes is like carrying a heavy raft while the road ahead still stretches far. Letting go is not ingratitude. On the contrary, it is the deepest form of gratitude, honoring what has helped us, while also being wise enough to release it when the moment comes. In doing so, our hearts grow lighter, our steps more graceful, and our lives more spacious. The raft and the river also remind us of impermanence. Nothing lasts forever, not even the very tools that once supported our growth. Only when we accept this truth can we experience genuine freedom. The lesson of this story is clear. Be grateful for what has carried you across, but know when to let it go. Once you have crossed the river, do not keep the raft on your shoulders. Instead, smile. Take a deep breath, and let the wind guide you forward, walking into life with a heart that is open, free, and at peace. Story 7. The Echo in the Cave. Once upon a time, a young boy went up the mountain with his father. While wandering around, the boy stumbled, fell, and cried out in pain. Ah! Immediately, from the cliffs of the mountain came back the exact same sound. Ah! Surprised, the boy shouted louder. Who's there? The echo answered. Who's there? The boy grew annoyed and yelled angrily. I hate you! The echo responded in the same tone. I hate you! Frustrated, the boy turned to his father and asked, Father, who is mocking me? I can't see anyone, yet I keep hearing a voice just like mine. The father smiled gently and said, Try saying something different, my son. The boy listened to his father and then shouted into the cave, I love you. And right away, the echo came back. I love you. The boy's eyes widened in amazement, filled with joy. His father looked at him and said softly, This is life, my son. Whatever you give, life will return to you. Hidden within this simple story lies a profound truth. The outer world is nothing but a reflection of our own mind. When we live in anger, suspicion, or resentment, life seems to echo back only negativity. But when we nurture kindness, spread joy, and offer understanding, the world responds with the same gentleness, just like the echo in the cave. In daily life, many times we blame the world for being unfair, people for being cold, or circumstances for being harsh. Yet often, it is our own heart that has been sowing the seeds of tension, and so what comes back to us is only tension. A peaceful mind sees peace in every situation, while a restless mind finds unrest everywhere it looks. True serenity is not found in chasing a perfect world outside, but in learning to plant peace within ourselves. When we are calm, everything appears lighter. When we cultivate compassion, we begin to notice more goodness around us. Just like the echo, the space around us merely reflects the sound that we release from within. If we want happiness, let us begin with kind words, wholesome thoughts, and a heart wide open. Then, the echoes of life will return to us as harmony, serenity, and joy. The story of the echo in the cave reminds us, as the mind is, so is the world. If you seek peace, sow peace. If you long for love, give love. And when you offer beauty from your heart, life itself will echo back in gentle tones, embracing you in the arms of tranquility. Story 8. The Bag of Sand and Anger. Long ago, a wise teacher wanted to show his students the burden of anger. One morning, he handed each of them a cloth bag and said, "Every time you feel angry at someone, take a handful of sand and put it into this bag. Then carry it with you wherever you go." At first, the students thought it was just a playful exercise. One of them got upset with a friend's remark and tossed in a handful of sand. Another grew annoyed at something small and added more sand. Day by day, the bags grew heavier. At first, they felt light, but soon they became heavy and exhausting. The students had to carry the bags everywhere, while eating, sleeping, studying, and working. Their backs began to ache, their steps grew slower, and their moods turned dull and weary. One day, the teacher asked, "How do you feel after carrying these bags of sand for several days?" The students groaned in unison. Heavy, uncomfortable, impossible to do anything properly. The teacher nodded. That is exactly how anger works in your heart. Each time you get angry, you add another handful of sand inside yourself. At first it feels small, but over time it grows into a massive weight. You drag it with you wherever you go, suffering under its burden, while others may not even notice. The lesson was clear. Holding on to anger is like carrying a bag that grows heavier each day. It clouds the mind, exhausts the body, and drains the spirit. Only when you put it down can you feel light, free, and at peace. Anger itself is not the enemy. It is a natural feeling. But if you cling to it, it becomes chains that bind you. To live peacefully, you must learn to set the bag down. That does not mean denying your emotions. It means seeing through them, smiling at them, and letting them dissolve. When you do, your heart becomes as spacious as the open sky, no longer weighed down by what you carry. Anger is like sand. You cannot hold it forever in your hands. The tighter you grip, the more it slips away, leaving your hands tired and sore. Only by letting go can you return to the ease that was always within you. So the next time anger arises, remember the bag of sand. Ask yourself, do I really want to carry this burden with me? The answer will always be found in letting go. For only by letting go can you walk freely and lightly on the long journey of life. Story 9. The Seeds Within the Heart. Long ago, a farmer once heard a wise sage say, "Within every person lies a fertile field. Whatever seeds are planted, there will take root and grow." Being someone who worked the land every day, the farmer pondered deeply on these words. From that moment, He began paying close attention to each thought and emotion that arose within him, for he understood that they were like seeds being sown in the soil of his heart. One day he became angry with his neighbor over a trivial matter. That anger was like a handful of thorn seeds scattered across his field. The very next day, he felt heavy, restless, and joyless. But on another occasion, when he helped a weary traveler carry a heavy load, his heart filled with lightness and happiness. That joy was like sowing rice seeds, sprouting and growing ever greener with time. Through these experiences, he realized every seed has life within it, waiting only for the right soil to flourish. When he planted seeds of anger, suspicion, and resentment, thorn bushes grew in his heart, making his steps clumsy and his spirit dry. But when he planted seeds of love, compassion, and gratitude, his heart blossomed with beauty, offering fragrance and shade not only to himself, but to everyone around him. This simple story carries a profound truth. If we wish to relax and live peacefully, we must learn to nurture wholesome seeds within. Every thought, every word, every action is a seed. A single smile of forgiveness can plant a vast field of peace. A single kind thought can revive a barren desert within. But just one seed of hatred can burn down an entire season of joy. Relaxation is not about escaping burdens, but about choosing which seeds we sow each day. If we water gratitude, compassion, and understanding, our inner garden will bloom naturally, and the weight in our hearts will dissolve like morning dew under the sun. So listen carefully to yourself. Whenever a thought arises, ask, what kind of seed is this? Will it bring peace or will it bring suffering? With such awareness, you can choose wisely, cultivating flowers instead of thorns. In the end, our life is nothing but the garden of seeds we have planted in our hearts. If we want peace, we must plant peace. If we want happiness, we must plant happiness. And one day, when we look within, we will find a flourishing garden where we can sit down, breathe gently, smile, and rest in serenity amidst the world. Story 10. A smile long ago, a disciple came to the Buddha with a heart heavy with worry. He bowed respectfully and said, "Blessed One, I have listened to many teachings. I have practiced meditation for years, yet my mind is still restless. Sorrows keep returning again and again. Please, show me the true path to peace." The Buddha did not reply. He simply looked at the disciple with eyes full of compassion and smiled. That smile was quiet, without sound, without lengthy explanation. Yet in that very moment, it was as if a knot inside the disciple's heart had been untied. He lifted his gaze, astonished to see in the Buddha's smile a boundless acceptance, a deep serenity, and a radiant light that words could never capture. His mind settled, becoming so calm and light that his sorrows vanished, as if they had never been there. This seemingly simple story carries profound wisdom. Peace is not a distant destination, nor the result of endless searching. Peace is found when we pause, breathe, and smile. A genuine smile has the power to dissolve the clouds of the mind and soothe the storms of the heart. In daily life, we often forget the quiet strength of a smile. We think too much, speak too much, and chase after too much. Yet sometimes, just smiling at ourselves can make everything lighter. When we smile, we remind our hearts, this too shall pass. The present moment is already enough. A smile is not only an expression on the face, but a release from within. It is like opening a door. letting tension flow out and letting peace flow in. And when we smile at another person, we may also plant a seed of joy in their heart. A gentle smile can dissolve misunderstanding, bridge distance, and sometimes even save an entire weary day. Try it once. In a moment of tension, instead of reacting right away, take a deep breath, exhale, and smile. That smile is not to hide sorrow, but to shine light upon it. Like sunlight touching muddy water, it gradually makes it clear. The Buddha did not need many words, for he understood that some truths cannot be taught by speech alone. They must be felt in the heart. His smile was a silent teaching, powerful enough to awaken people to their own inner stillness. The story of a smile reminds us, sometimes we don't need more advice, more explanations, or more answers. What we truly need is simply a smile to ourselves, a smile to others, a smile to life itself. For within that smile lies a universe of silence, compassion, and peace. And perhaps, through one simple smile today, we may discover the very key that unlocks the lasting door to happiness. A reflection on 10 lessons of relaxation and inner peace. Each ancient story is like a small candle. When lit, it not only dispels the darkness but also warms the heart. As we journey through these 10 stories, we see a subtle thread weaving them together. The path of returning to relaxation and to the peace that has always been within us. In the story of the overflowing teacup, we learn that a mind filled with preconceptions cannot receive new wisdom. To truly relax, we must first set aside the heavy load of thoughts. Like an empty cup, only then can we be ready to receive the fresh flow of life. From the story of the 2 monks and the young woman, we are reminded that what seems like a small burden can linger endlessly if we carry it in our hearts. Letting go of the past is like giving ourselves wings of freedom. Relaxation begins the moment we put down what is no longer needed. The parable of the heavy glass of water shows us that stress does not come from the event itself, but from holding on too tightly. A glass of water is light when held for a moment, but if clutched for too long, it becomes a burden. To put it down is to rest. To let go is to step into freedom. In the stone thrower, the power of compassion shines through. When we choose understanding over anger, we protect our own hearts from being consumed by fire. Compassion is not weakness. It is a strength that carries us through storms with lightness. The raft across the river teaches us that tools and methods can carry us through difficulties, but we do not need to carry them forever. What once helped us can become a burden if we cling to it. To relax is to flow naturally with life, letting things drift as they must. With the echo in the cave, we see how the world reflects the state of our minds. Shout with harshness, and harshness returns. Speak gently, and peace comes back to you. If we wish for calmness, we must first plant calmness within. The bag of sand of anger reminds us that the more we cling to anger, the heavier our steps become. Anger punishes no one but ourselves. Only when we put that bag down can we feel truly light and free. In the seeds within the mind, we learn that every thought, word, and action is a seed. Whatever we plant, we will harvest. If we nurture gratitude, love, and understanding, our hearts will bloom into a flourishing garden of peace. Finally, the smile of the Buddha is perhaps the most profound teaching of all. A simple smile is a doorway to serenity. To smile is to return to the present moment, to dissolve sorrow, and to gift peace to ourselves and to others. Together, These stories point us toward 5 essential paths for a lighter life: letting go, cultivating compassion, releasing the past, planting wholesome seeds, and smiling. With just these 5, the mind becomes clearer, the body lighter, and life itself more harmonious. Picture this: a quiet morning, soft meditative music playing, the sight of nature in its freshness. You sit still, take a deep breath, and smile. Even a moment like this can soothe the storms within. And if practiced daily, your heart becomes a garden where the flowers of peace never cease to bloom. If you feel a sense of peace after listening to these stories, I invite you to share them with your loved ones. So together, we can nurture relaxation and calmness in our daily lives. Peace is not a gift meant for one alone. It is a flame that can light many hearts. And so this journey does not end here. I warmly invite you to subscribe to this channel, so each day we may sit together again, listening to gentle reminders, simple stories, and drops of wisdom to nourish mindfulness. Please also leave a comment below. Share your reflections, or simply leave a smile or a blessing of peace. With your words, you are planting wholesome seeds in the shared garden of all of us. Amid soft music and images of vast healing nature, may your mind find rest, may your heart smile, and may each day be a gentle step along the path of peace.